On behalf of VU Connected and the Boskant, I welcome you this evening here in the Boskant Church for what we hope and think will be a very memorable third Martin Luther King lecture. Dr. King himself put it as follows, and with this quote I will end this introduction. We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love, and you can be that servant. Thank you.
Dr. King's message was and still will remain alive. And The Hague, the International City of Peace and Justice, is pleased to continue just like you, Mr. Jesse Jackson, are doing, to propagate Dr. King's ideals and dreams. And that is why we are so proud to have you here today. Thank you very much.
Tonight we gather this third Martin Luther King lecture. Like Jesus and Gandhi and Dr. King, we love them as martyrs. We learn to hate them as men because they challenged and disturbed us. Dr. King said in part his mission was to disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed. He was a change agent. The challenge remains for us even today as we adjust to our habits and our small circles and cycles, that in this ever-changing world linked so much by science and technology and communications, we have learned a bad lesson well. We've learned to survive apart behind our walls. And where there are walls, there is always ignorance of what's on the other side of the wall. Ignorance and fear and hatred and violence. So in part our mission to pull down walls or tear them down and knock them down. Whether Berlin or South Africa, to South of America, and to build bridges. But there are those who have a vested interest in those walls. They profit from the walls. They make money behind the walls. They do politics behind the walls. They scheme behind the walls. And they give a pretense of superiority to cover up their feelings of inadequacy behind the walls. They fear competition. They speak of free markets, and yet they fight the walls, which contradicts the idea of free market, not being limited by race, or gender, or religion, or class. The dream was rooted, therefore, in a challenging political reality, a well-entrenched political scheme of white male race supremacy, in which we had elected communist people and senators and judges and presidents. I dream of a day when the promise made 100 years ago will be honored. A dream rooted in a will to change. A dream, the kind that Mandela had on Robbins Island. The one day he would set his captive free. Dream, the one day the Berlin Wall would actually come down. Dreaming, rooted in challenging life-threatening reality. Dream bigger than the status quo. Dream bigger than everydayness. Dream of what ought to be. Or don't accept nor adjust to what is one thing worse than slavery. Slavery is a horrible system. The enslaved have no rights. Slave masters are bound to respect. Denies the potential that God embedded in each of us. Slavery is a horrible system. But one thing worse than slavery, and that is to adjust to it. People of faith must remain permanently maladjusted to oppression and violations. Dream of what ought to be. Dream bigger than the time in which you live. Dream bigger than your life. Dream bigger than the reaches of your money. In the real world order, it seems on a globe, not on a map. In the real world order, half the human beings are Asian, half of them are Chinese. In the real world order, 1/8 of the human race is African and 1/4 Nigeria. In the real world order, there are twice more people in India than there are in the U.S. and the Russian republics combined. In the real world order, 1/3 of our hemisphere speaks English, 2/3 speak Spanish. In the real world order, most people are yellow, brown, black, non-Christian, poor, female, young, and don't speak English. In the real world order, we can't make the case of trying to glorify English only. Jesus didn't speak English, by the way. It's in passing. Nor did the disciples. We must strengthen FDIC and SEC to put banks under control again. We must put a moratorium on foreclosure in people's houses. We must bring joy bottom up. If not, we'll have stocks rising and poverty rising, unemployment rising, pain rising, and still rising. Unless we do something King-like, Roosevelt-like, then we'll have the insurance stock rising and the hospital stock rising and the pharmaceutical stock rising and the unemployed and the sick dying early. Can you imagine the president says we need to have something as bold as insure everybody? 50 million Americans have no health insurance. 50 million more have inadequate health insurance. And we need it, and it's morally right. And he's attacking the congressman called liar, and the man who called him liar raised $2 million that weekend. Can you imagine that somehow people who profess some sense of morality and ethics would find victory in denying health care for those who don't have it while they in fact have it? So Dr. King would be disturbing, comfortable, comforting to disturb. As I look back at my years of struggle, thanks be to God I was with him at those critical moments. This year, I was jailed 50 years ago, trying to use a public library. And I feel more determined than ever. And I see your faces tonight, under Dr. King's legacy, under that hope, under that dream, fighting for a better environment, celebrating progress, a freed Mandela, an elevated Barack Obama, a little bit of Martin Luther King Jr. I can say in my own testimony, I once was young. And now I'm older, but I've never seen the righteous forsaken, not the seed beg for bread. Keep hoping, keep the dream alive. God bless you.